time serving. She went over the clock like 4 times. You gave her time violation once. How is this fair? No, you're calling the score after the point is over. It's not like we're playing 1 point. You're calling the score like 6 seconds after the point is over.
Yeah, she's 100% right.
During the first round of the 2023 U.S. Open, a WTA referee criticized Coco Gauff for playing too quickly, while her opponent, Siegemund, repeatedly let the shot clock run down to 0 without any penalties. Frustrated, Gauff approached the umpire and demanded an explanation, sparking one of the most talked-about officiating controversies in recent tennis history. The referee's bias was so blatant that even the crowd turned against her, though some instantly regretted it. So, was the umpire corrupt, incompetent, or simply caught up in the heat of the moment? To understand why this incident caused such an uproar, it's worth looking closely at exactly what happened and why it's worse than it first appears.
We're having 30-ball rallies. It's 2 balls. She's going to the knee. You're very clean. I'm going a normal speed. Ask any ref here, I go a medium pace speed. But she can't every single point.
Coco Gauff faced Siegemund in the first round of the 2023 U.S. Open, playing on home soil in front of a raucous New York crowd. Gauff entered the match as the favorite, not just to win but potentially to go all the way. But the match quickly turned tense. She fell behind a set while Siegemund repeatedly slowed the pace, pushing the boundaries of the shot clock. In tennis, players have 25 seconds between points for a reason, to keep the match flowing and prevent stalling. Yet Siegemund repeatedly let the clock run down to 0 4 times, by Gauff's count, while umpire Mariana Velović issued only a single time violation.
In this crowd, no, you're not going to stop. I've been quiet the whole match. How do you think they clocked me gave her time violation? She's been missing for like 6 points. That first set, every game, second set, every game. I didn't say nothing, but now it's ridiculous. I don't care what she's doing on her serve, but my serve, she has to be ready.
Okay, well said. As if she didn't have the crowd on her side enough.
Well, she spoke her piece.
Meanwhile, Coco Gauff was serving at what she described as a normal, medium pace, not rushing, not trying to catch her opponent off guard, just playing tennis at a reasonable tempo. Yet somehow, that became a problem for Siegemund, who later complained that Gauff was serving extremely fast, almost unreasonably fast. Let that sink in. Playing at normal speed drew complaints, while repeatedly letting the shot clock run down earned Siegemund almost no penalties. That's not officiating, it's favoritism. Either incompetence or corruption, and neither reflects well on the umpire. Frustrated, Gauff confronted chair umpire Mariana Velović in the final set. You've given her a time violation once. How is this fair? I'm going at normal speed. That's not a tantrum. I'm just asking for the rules to apply equally. Finally, Velović issued a point penalty against Siegemund for another time violation, giving Gauff a 5-1 lead in the deciding set. But even then, Siegemund complained again, insisting Gauff was serving too fast. According to her logic, following the rules was unfair, but repeatedly breaking them was acceptable. Despite the chaos, Gauff held her nerve, served out the set, and won the match. She went on to capture her first Grand Slam title at just 19. Yet the officiating controversy remains infuriating. The rules exist to ensure fair play, not to create confusion or favoritism, and in this case, they were applied exactly backwards. Coco Gauff almost didn't win the U.S. Open title because an umpire couldn't or wouldn't enforce the rules fairly. If she had let the unfair officiating get in her head and lost that match, her entire career trajectory could have changed. No U.S. Open title, no confidence boost from a slam victory, no momentum going forward. All because one player's blatant rule violations were treated as less important than another player's perfectly legal pace of play. Let's focus on Mariana Velović for a moment. Her performance in this match was shocking. Siegemund received a single time violation despite letting the shot clock run down to 0 at least 4 times, a 25% enforcement rate on a clear, objective rule. The shot clock either hits 0 or it doesn't. There's no interpretation, no subjectivity. It's right there on the screen for everyone to see.
To open this set.
I know, it's the rules. It's not allowed to sit.
Siegemund must have said something.
Velović didn't take any meaningful action until Coco Gauff confronted her, and even then, she seemed reluctant. The point penalty that finally came was long overdue, given the number of shot clock violations that had already occurred. This wasn't mere incompetence, It was a choice to ignore the rules until public pressure forced her hand. The crowd was fully on Gauff's side, booing Siegemund, stalling and cheering Coco's calls for fair play. Their support likely influenced the umpire, because showing blatant bias in front of a hostile crowd is never a good look for someone trying to maintain authority. Meanwhile, Siegemund's behavior didn't help her image. After the match, she complained that the crowd treated her unfairly, claiming they showed her no respect and made her feel like a cheater. She insisted she had stayed calm and followed the rules, but the video evidence and the audience reaction told a very different story.
It's the first time I'm crying in a press conference. As a tennis player, you are a performer. You owe the people. You owe the kids that watch. And I'm just a bit, I mean, at the end of the day, I go home and I can look at myself and I can say, I did a great job. But did I get anything from the people for that? Even less than a zero, because they treated me bad. Like, they treated me like I was a cheater, like I was like trying, sneaky ways to win this match or something. They treated me like I was a bad person. But there are people who are throwing rackets, who are screaming, who are like making bad gestures toward the audience. I did not one moment in the whole match, and there was a lot of tension going on. Not one moment I did anything. I was just slow. And that's something in the rule. I get my time violation. That's fine. Yeah. No.
Except Siegemund absolutely did things that warranted the crowd's hostility. She repeatedly violated the shot clock, used every stalling tactic to disrupt Gauff's rhythm, and even complained that her opponent was playing at a normal pace as if that were unfair. These weren't the actions of someone playing fair. They were gamesmanship aimed at gaining an unfair advantage. And then, to turn around and play the victim about the crowd's reaction? That's rich. The audience responded exactly as they should have. If you don't want to be seen as a cheater, don't repeatedly break the rules. If you don't want to be booed, don't engage in obvious time wasting that everyone can see. Siegemund insisted she stayed calm, never threw a racket, and never made rude gestures. Fine, that's the bare minimum of professional behavior. But following the rules is more than just avoiding tantrums. The crowd wasn't upset about her demeanor, they were upset about her tactics. And they were right. Gauff herself admitted afterward that she doesn't like confrontation and wasn't sure if speaking up was the right move until it happened multiple times. That shows remarkable restraint. Most players would have exploded far earlier. Yet she kept her composure, stated her case clearly to the umpire, and let the facts speak for themselves. When the rules were finally enforced, it proved she had been justified all along. This isn't an isolated incident for Gauff. At the 2024 French Open semi-finals, she broke down over an incorrect call. At the Olympics, another bad call led her to demand a rule change. There's a clear pattern of officials mishandling crucial moments in her matches, suggesting systemic issues in tennis officiating. But back to the US Open, the instant regret Velović must have felt after this match had to be intense. Mariana Velović officiated one of the most controversial matches of the tournament. She displayed either clear bias or outright incompetence in enforcing the shot clock, creating a situation where a young American star almost lost in the first round on home soil simply because the umpire wouldn't do her job. And then Coco Gauff went on to win the entire tournament, making Velovic's poor officiating look even worse in hindsight. Imagine being Velović, watching Gauff lift the US Open trophy, knowing you nearly prevented that moment from happening. Knowing your failure to enforce basic rules could have derailed a historic career milestone that's the definition of instant regret. The WTA never publicly addressed the controversy, which is typical. Tennis organizations are notoriously poor at holding officials accountable. Players get fined for racket smashes or verbal outbursts, but umpires who blow calls or enforce rules unevenly rarely face consequences. That lack of accountability fosters a culture where bad officiating continues unchecked. The Siegemund Gauff match also highlights a broader problem in tennis. Gamesmanship and time wasting are widely tolerated. Players routinely use towels, take injury timeouts, or stall between points, and umpires often look the other way because enforcing the rules invites controversy. Yet these actions directly undermine fair play, as this match painfully illustrated. But this creates an unfair playing environment for athletes who just want to play tennis at a normal pace. Coco Gauff playing at medium speed shouldn't be controversial, it should be the standard. The fact that it became a source of complaint highlights how backwards tennis culture has become around pace of play. The shot clock was designed to fix this problem, to remove subjectivity from time violations. But if umpires won't enforce it consistently, the clock is meaningless. The crowd reaction during this match was fascinating because it demonstrated that fans understand fairness even when officials don't. They could see Siegemund stalling, they could see the umpire ignoring it, and they made their feelings known. That crowd pressure probably saved Coco's tournament by forcing the umpire to act. But players shouldn't have to rely on audience intervention to receive fair officiating. The rules should be applied equally, regardless of who's playing or where the match is held. That's the basic expectation in any professional sport. Tennis fails at this regularly, and the 2023 US Open first round is a perfect example. The fact that Gauff went on to win the tournament despite this officiating disaster is a testament to her mental toughness. Most 19-year-olds would have crumbled under the combination of being down a set, battling the umpire, and facing an opponent using every stalling tactic imaginable. Yet Gauff regrouped, won that match, and then 6 more to claim the title. Her US Open victory wasn't a fluke. It was earned through 7 rounds of high-quality tennis under enormous pressure. That it nearly didn't happen because of an umpire's inability or unwillingness to enforce basic rules should bother everyone who cares about fair competition. Mariana Velović likely doesn't lose sleep over the match. Most officials move on quickly, but she should. She should think about how close she came to derailing one of the most inspiring stories in recent tennis history. She should ask why she waited so long to enforce a clear, objective rule. And she should consider how her officiating appeared to millions watching worldwide. The instant regret should be permanent, not just for that match, but as a reminder that fair, consistent officiating matters. Velović failed on all those fronts during Gauff's first-round match. Gauff had to literally walk up to the chair and demand fair treatment before the umpire finally did her job. The instant regret hit hardest when Gauff won the US Open, proving just how close Velović came to ruining an iconic moment. One player repeatedly violated the shot clock, another played entirely within the rules, and yet the rules were applied unevenly. A striking example of biased officiating in modern tennis. Coco's triumph in New York reminds us, talent and composure can overcome adversity, but officials have an enormous responsibility to protect fair play. When they fail, it threatens not just the outcome of a match, but the integrity of the sport itself.